Welcome back to the show, everybody. Let's go ahead and break it down. We're going to talk about why XRP is going to the moon, why I believe it will be $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 plus. Let's go ahead and roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Currently coming in at 92 cents for XRP off of the $9 mark that we were at last night. And we are off by 6.78% on the 24 hours. So currently falling like a manhole cover from the sky right now, right? So shout out to XRP Rich for that one. I had to do it for him. And we're still up 65.67% on the 7-day, and that is something worth note. So looking here at the range, we see we're ranging between that $9 mark and a 89-cent mark here, back up sitting at 92. Like I said, we're going to keep an eye on that range. We know that we've had some really, really great technical analysts come out here and share their thoughts of what they're seeing on the charts. And it does look like we may be set up to see the next push complemented with some fundamentals like having, the case settled, or having exchanges relist XRP. We could see our next stop on price after it takes a breath, rebuilds its strength, and go to like a $2 to $3 mark, and then see us move up to $10 to $15 range. So this is getting very, very exciting. All right, now let's get into the news, because this is part of the reason why I feel that we are going to see eventually XRP move into that 4 and 5 digit range because of its actual intended use. And the intended use is for XRP to settle back end and to not be consumer facing. We have gone over time and time again. It doesn't mean that we can't use it. It doesn't mean that we won't be able to hold it. But what I'm talking about is the actual full scale intended use of XRP is not a consumer-facing product. Brad Garlinghouse has said it many times. I've played many other people from Ripple that have said it to us, and they're not hiding it from us, and that's okay. But what we do know is that they are intending to use this as a wholesale settlement token, exchange token, or convertible virtual currency back end in the FX market, the settlement of central banks and their daily transactions into the multi-trillions a day, and also to settle things like the derivatives market, securities and bonds all around the world, and use XRP for that settlement as well. Here it starts right here. Russian top diplomat, and this was back in March, top diplomat starts China visit with a call to reduce the dollar use. Okay, this is no stranger that Russia and China are not fans of the U.S. dollar and the implication it has on the rest of the countries, including their own, with the dollar dominance around the world being that it is the global reserve status or currency. All right, so now this is from, I believe it was yesterday. Yesterday. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Central banks retreat from U.S. dollar. How about that one? Dollar share of global reserves has decreased to its lowest level since 1995. It goes on here to say that several structural trends skew the medium-term dollar outlook in a negative direction, including the widening of the U.S. trade deficit, China's financing opening, and the European Union's effort to create a common bond market for the region. And that just tells you that they're looking for the next 12 months for the dollar dominance to look even weaker as we move through the year. Now, this is from last summer in August, and this is Barry Eichengreen, who was also on the Blockstars podcast with David Schwartz slightly a week or two before doing this IMF webinar. This webinar, was based on the discussion of getting an external adjustment to the exchange rate peg of dominant dollars like the U.S. dollar. In other words, debasing the dollar from the outside, saying this dollar and the value of it is not correct based on all the printing. And we know there's been even more printing since this actual webinar, right? So what do we understand? We understand that the IMF has had very, very open conversations for which we covered this. And let's listen to Barry Eichengreen tell you what the problem is.
So is this project an argument for fiscal policy? That's depressing because fiscal policy is heavily politicized. Fiscal policy works with even longer lags typically than monetary policy. What do we need to do in terms of reforming our fiscal institutions if we're going to have to rely on them more heavily? And the second part of the question would be, what do we have to do to get out of this position of dollar dominance, because it has the undesirable effect of weakening monetary policy, and it will run up sooner or later against the 21st century Triffin dilemma problem.
There you go. He says it. He's an economist. He's saying it right there to the IMF panel, Geeta Gopinath, and everybody else that's sitting there. And they're openly discussing in the academic speak, which you might not be familiar with, saying the dollar dominance as the global reserve status is a problem. That problem is called the Triffin dilemma. So if you're new to the space, very quickly, it's when a national currency serves as a global reserve currency status, and any decision you make for national policy usually affects the global policy and vice versa. And they are absolutely addressing the idea that they need to fix this before it comes up against the wall of a Triffin dilemma of the US dollar not being able to serve in the manner that it already is, because they can see the stress cracks. They can see the problem. And they can see that with the exacerbation of the pandemic on top of it and all the printing that's been necessary to get us through this is even more an issue. All right, now let's move here, because in the summer, same month, August, the IMF releases a paper. We covered this with Mickey B. Fresh on the show. Guys, if you're not following Mickey B. Fresh, I highly suggest that you do so. Hit the like and subscribe and watch everything. This here is section 100, which talks about, guess what? Wait for it. FSOC. That's right, the Financial Stability Oversight Council. And they say in section 100, for interactions between state and federal level, the FSOC serves as a formal cooperation arrangement in place in addition to state regulators' involvement with the FFIEC. Now, what the takeaway here is that it tells you between the FDIC, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right, and FinCEN, they're showing you that the prudential regulator, not a market regulator, the prudential regulator, which sits above the SEC and the CFTC and the rest of these organizations, right? And the reality here is that FSOC has the power through the Dodd-Frank Act to really come in and deem something like RippleNet systemically important. You think I'm just kidding because I'm just a YouTuber? Well, take a look at Section 104, because Section 104 tells us right here, now take in mind, this is last summer, the International Monetary Fund now talking about also a network-based application service providers such as, what does that say? RippleNet. Ripple what? RippleNet. So often they don't say the name, but here they do. And what we're talking about here is a new payments platform like RippleNet, which can make these payments and things updated, brand new. And then it goes on to talk about the MoneyGram relationship, which we know is no longer. But nevertheless, you see them talking about RippleNet. It is all through this document, especially the tail end. Let's keep moving, because we know what the problem is, right? What was the problem? The world doesn't want the US dollar anymore. That's the problem. It's not our opinion. It's a fact. The IMF is having conversations about how to get off the US dollar as a global reserve currency before we hit the wall of the Triffin dilemma. The IMF doubles down and puts out solutions. Solutions like using FSOC, for instance, right, to come in and make the systemically important decision to use something else like what? RippleNet. Then we have the group of 30. This is where Mark Carney, the former Bank of England governor, suggested that a global official sector stablecoin, in his eyes in 2019, is absolutely Ripple and XRP. And look at the plan he says here. This is the way you could do it. A systemic hegemonic currency could, for example, be a stablecoin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks. Well, that's interesting because we did diagrams here on this channel of collateralizing the XRP ledger. If these are central banks around the world and they have nostro vostro money, which is really nostro accounts, where they hold dormant capital to be able to balance their books daily on the cross-border payments issue that they have and transactions they do in one day, every single day, there is somewhere in the neighborhood between 12 and 20 trillion dollars locked up around the world to be able to handle those daily payment flows. However, if you were to collateralize the ledger and tokenize things like gold, oil, and tokenize the dollars around the world from the major currencies, such as CBDCs, right, which are really government stable coins, tokenized bonds, and each central bank puts up a certain proportion that gives us the one-to-one backing or a surplus that we need for these central bank digital dollars, and we collateralize them and put them on the ledger, then we can begin to what? We can begin to see them be used on the ledger from that basket of deposits held by central banks, for which Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of England, is talking about now. He's not a YouTuber either. This is the solution to the problem that we just started with. This is how you get the 4 digits. You want $1,000 XRP? Well, I can tell you right now, if all the central banks participate in this, $1,000 ain't going to cover it. They're doing trillions of dollars in daily settlement. They cannot afford at that level to hit a dry pocket in liquidity in the middle of the day. That doesn't solve the problem, does it? So the reality is it's about collateralizing the ledger, because the ledger is the solution. Because the ledger is the new internet of value, because the ledger is the new financial system. Don't believe it? Well, here's page 17 of the World Economic Forum, where they back it up last January and say the most relevant wholesale central bank digital currency, which falls exactly in line with the comments of Mark Carney about the idea of using a basket of deposits from central banks to back a stable coin, which would be XRP, because he says that's what a global official sector stable coin is. And it's supported here by the World Economic Forum, where they suggest that XRP can be used and affected for settlement in the wholesale back end for intra-bank payments and settlement. Here's the other big news about that. The other big news about that is this. Ripple is piloting a private ledger for central banks. It's not my opinion, and it's not my speculation. It's a fact, Jack. That's what's up. And I'm excited about $1 XRP. I'm excited about a $2 and $13 XRP. But you know what I'm really excited about? Exactly what I'm here for, which is 4 and 5 digit XRP. Because until the central banks actually start using it to settle back in, until the clearinghouses around the world start using XRP to settle back in, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here is where I'll be. And the reality to all of this is, for me, is that it is going down. But it's going down on their timeline when they want it. When they need it. Not when we want it. That's when this is going down. That's just a little reminder for me, while the price is currently falling from like a manhole cover from the sky. Shout out to you, XRP Rich. That is where I am on this day, and that's how I handle the dips. Aside from buying. Not financial advice. That's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. I will make sure you share with somebody you know. I do check out the comments, even though I don't respond to them. The reason I don't is to not create confusion, because there's a lot of imposters and scammers that hit the comment sections. We work very, very tirelessly. I have an assistant that works with me very hard to try to keep these comments at bay. We report each and every one. I encourage you guys to report them if you see them as well. well. YouTube really does nothing to help support us in getting rid of these scammers, but we nevertheless keep up the good fight. Make sure you're very careful out here on what you click on. And that's why I tell you to check out all the links in the description and the comment section, because they are trusted, vetted links of products and services I use each and every day. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you on the next one.